Hello, fabulous followers. Simsbrarian here to walk you through my very first speed build. What's a Simsbrarian? Well, I'm a simmer who is also a librarian who loves to build. So, Simsbrarian. Today's tiny house is a tiny home based off of a New England manor picture that I saw on Pinterest, which turned out to be for a playhouse. So, I guess that's kind of fitting since it's a tiny house, and it ended up being as small as a playhouse, but everything has been play tested, so you can definitely play in the house with your sim. And yeah, I've been playing The Sims for a long time. I think the first Sims game I remember playing was SimCity. I wasn't very good at it, but I didn't really get into The Sims until The Sims 3. But then it was a incredibly good diversion, and Sims 4 is an even more delightful distraction from real life. I don't have anywhere close to all the expansions or packs, and usually I tend to focus on base game builds because I kind of like the limitation. But on this one here, I thought I'd use everything I had access to, and right now I'm just trying to make the front of the house using some columns, and I think I change out that window on the side piece, and I cut a little out here, but I did futz around trying to get the little eaves up here correct for quite some time, but I kind of like how it came out, what I decided to go with in the end. And yeah, there's those windows that I'm changing. And yeah, I think I had a really good time doing this. You'll see the sim in the yellow tracksuit is there, and I definitely used her over and over trying to play test and make sure everything was good so that you could actually use the house and everything was functional. And putting some different roof trims on. It took me a while to figure out which kind of trim I wanted to use because I tend to like the very simple trim, but I thought I'd use some of the bigger trim in a few spots, and then I decided I wanted the underlying, what is that called? The edging? Yeah, well, I had to put foundation on the second floor in order for the first floor trim to show up. But anyways, I really enjoyed making this tiny house, and I'm kind of excited about how it came out. And I liked the blue with the little pop of red, although I did try later on, you'll see I tried to change the red door for a white door, and I didn't like it. The red door was definitely the best. And these little side pieces I was excited about. These are from the new debug menu items that you can get by putting in bb.moveobjects, and I think they're a fence post for cats and dogs, which worked out really well to give that little pop of white edging on the tiny little eaves up there. And then now I'm just trying to figure out a little back patio and figure out where to put the door, which took me a while. I went back and forth with the door for quite some time, but now I'm doing some landscaping, and this is kind of fun for me. I like figuring out what plants I can put in the area, and I really love using the new items available in the debug menu because everybody likes free stuff, and where I usually try to make a lot of base game starter homes, I like being able to put in a lot more landscaping right now, so that's a lot of fun. And then I thought I'd close off the backyard a little bit so that she has a nice area. My thought was she would be kind of a gardening sim, so I wanted to give her a spot where she could have the gardening planters and get to put all the plants that she wanted out there, and then a little patio space. But for now, I think I'm still picking out a bunch of flowers and some rocks, and then I put down some landscaping paint because I like the flowers to look like they've got a little bit of dirt underneath them so they look a little more realistic. And for some reason right now I really like putting the little rocks around the edge of all the gardens, so you'll see in a minute I should probably go out and put a little trim of rocks around everything. And that's, yeah, there it goes. I like how that looks really fun. And yeah, so I had a good time making this little tiny home, and making the outside very fun. Although right here, this section, my computer overheated and turned off, but luckily everything saved and it kind of just put itself into hibernation. So that was really good because I came back to it after working up to this point, and it was disappointing to have it turn off on me, but it all worked out. And yeah, now I'm just setting up the little covered pavilion outside that I thought she could have a nice little table under and use that as a place to eat, since the interior only has like a little two-person spot for eating because everything's kind of tiny and squished. So I had a good time making this little tiny house, and you'll see now I'm putting out the little garden planters for her to have a nice, fairly large garden space, and a few more little planters on the tiny patio deck that's upstairs. And I think I put a art easel up here too. And I do my best to make sure we have everything you need, a trash can, and then the mailbox out front. And then I kind of go for a nice wood tone. And yeah, it took a lot more time than I thought it would, considering how small it was, but making it functional was a large part of that. And the other part was trying to make it look cute and think of stuff that she would actually need in this tiny house. If a little garden specific sim was living in a tiny little house, and trying to think of everything she might need, storage that she'd want, and make it a bright, happy little living place that would be fun to work with. And it was good. It was a fun time. And I don't know if I could live in a tiny house, because this is not much space. It didn't seem too bad for maybe one sim. Although I do have a double bed in here, so you could fit two sims in here if they slide over, because it is against the wall. But I don't know, it doesn't seem like a lot of space if you ever want to get away from the other person, if there's two of you living in there. But if you have a loner sim, I think this would be perfect for them, because they definitely have everything they'll need. I make sure they have a TV, they have a computer, they have a mirror in the bedroom by the end. And yeah, you'll see here, I thought the bedroom was a little too small. I thought, well, maybe I can make it a little bigger, but I think it kind of looked a little weird with the bump out there, so I end up pushing it back and taking out that little archway in favor of a door, because I really like that little barn door that comes with cats and dogs, I think. And it's really cute, and it makes me think it's kind of rustic, so I thought it fit the vibe inside here pretty well. And I'm going through and trying to make sure everything fits in the tiny little bathroom. And then, oh yeah, the kitchen kind of took me a while, because I hemmed and hawed over where to put it and trying to fit it around the doors and the windows, and it took me a while, and I cut out all the thinking and swapping before I ultimately decided to go, there we go, to the other side and fit everything over here. So you do have everything you need, space for the counters for the sim, and the sink and the stove. And I think at this point is when I pretty much decided it wasn't going to be a starter house anymore, which is why I did a slightly better version of the fridge and the stove. So it's not super expensive, but it's definitely not a starter price for if you don't get a sim that's got some extra funds when they start out. But yeah, there I'm trying to place the workstation, which I really like the Parenthood game for expansion for bringing that little one square computer desk, because it's really useful for the tiny home squish. And here, I think in the bed, I end up switching the direction of the bed finally at some point and taking out the nightstand. But I did try. I was pretty desperate to get that bed headboard against the windows for some reason, but I finally did decide to put it this way so we could get some nice curtains in there instead, and put some nice lights overhead, which I like how those lined up. And then a mirror, which does function so your sim can change their outfit. even though they don't have a dresser. And then I really like these curtains from Cats and Dogs. I think I used a lot of stuff from Cats and Dogs, but I do like that pack. I like a lot of the options and the decor that they give. Nice little rug in there, and then the curtains. And I did try to get some cupboards in here, but ultimately I decided it wasn't quite the right fit. So then I tried to put some shelving in here, just to see, like, if a sim was actually living in here, if a person was living in a home this tiny, you'd want some space to put things, some shelves. And how about you guys? Does anybody live in a tiny house? Because I think that would be the biggest concern, is trying to figure out where you would put stuff. And yeah, now I'll put an art easel up on top. And now you'll see I put the bookcase there, and I do test it. She can get to the bookcase. Librarian, so I definitely need to make sure that there's a bookcase in every house, so that is functional. I think at some point I even tried to put some extra storage from laundry day out against that wall above the trash can, but then the sim couldn't get out to the back garden or up the stairs, so I ended up having to take that out. But you could definitely add some smaller shelves up there, and probably some other little shelves somewhere else inside. I know I kind of took up a lot of the space and tried to make use of every little square that I could, and I did put some clutter in, but I don't tend to put that much. I like to keep things a little more minimal so your sim can get around and you can fill it with your own flair. So I tried to put a little front stoop out here, but I think I'd take that out later because you don't really need it and the sim can get in and out without it, and it kind of looked a little strange out there in the front, so I did take that out. And inside again, we just make sure everything is squished just enough that the sim can get in and out and make a meal, and some soap so they can wash their dishes. And I also really liked finding this shelf-looking utensil rack because I was able to put some more stuff on top. I imagine the sim would have some canned goods up there, and then a nice broom for her to sweep up, and then a few more shelves. I don't tend to use the custom content or that little red shelf that a lot of folks can use. I seem to have a little difficulty using it, so for now I just use the number keys 9 and 0 to raise and lower things and get them where I want, and just pull the shelves out so that I can put things in the corners and your sim can still use the rest of the counter. And here I'm giving her some more plants and a little more decorations. And then I got a nice stack of cookbooks and pots that I put up on top of the fridge, again imagining she doesn't have much space otherwise to put things, and get a little bit of artwork on the few walls that aren't covered with shelves. And here I'm just making sure the roof extends over the little back deck, and getting some storage in the bedroom too. So we're coming to the end of the build. I'm just putting a few more decorations in, getting a nice little pop of color in the bedroom. I'm going to change those towels to yellow very shortly, and getting her some more plants in there. And I'll put a few more lights in the living room area and above the computer desk. And then we're going to get to the screenshots. So if you like this video, definitely give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel to see what I have in the future for more videos. And let me know what sort of house you'd like to see next. You can find this house on the gallery under Simsbrarian, and have a fabulous day.